Welcome to The Business Behind Your Business, the podcast where we delve into the financial strategies and insights that drive success for small and medium-sized business owners. I'm your host, Paul Sweeney, and in each episode we bring you expert guests who share practical advice, real-world experiences, and actionable tips to empower you on your business journey. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, get ready to uncover the secrets to success and gain valuable insights into the business behind your business. Okay, welcome back to the Business Behind Your Business podcast, where we have the conversations to help your business grow and thrive. And today we're going to untap this idea of, one of the things that holds business owners back in their journey to scaling. And it's quite a common thing that we see, we hear stories. And look, I'm not going to spoil the content too much because I'm going to introduce our guest of Garrett Delph from Clarity Ops, and Garrett's going to unpack this topic for us, and I believe that's going to be a really enlightening conversation, but I won't spoil it too much just yet. But Garrett's background, over 25 years of experience optimizing and scaling businesses across various industries. So at Clarity Ops, specializing in transforming organizations by focusing on the how, so the processes that drive success. And we're big on processes here, rather than just the what of strategy. And so you worked with a lot of companies, generating 5 million plus recurring revenues. That's a key topic we'll ask you about.
Sure.
And helping them achieve sustainable growth through organizational transformation, leadership management, people process, performance, integration, basically empowering business founders and their teams to unlock the full potential and build high-performing cross-functional teams, businesses thriving in today's economy, which is pretty fast-paced and you need to be on your game. So, Garrett, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Hey, thanks so much, Paul. Really great to be here, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Garrett, the one of the things that we see a lot of business owners really struggle with, and we've all probably been employed by this boss or this manager as well, but it's the micromanagement, which we seem to think, well, hang on, if you just let me do my job, maybe I could do a better job. But look, I'll let you explain, why is this such an issue and what do we mean by micromanagement?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to preface, Paul, by saying, my opinions here, they are opinions, but I think I'm right. And I think this topic is horrifically misunderstood, so my belief is that micromanagers, most leaders who micromanage, they don't do it because they love it. They don't do it because they're just hip on controlling people. My hypothesis is managers end up micromanaging due to a lack of control in the business. Because typically these are the managers who are responsible for the outcome, which means their head is on the line. Their job is on the line. And so this really interesting thing happens as a manager when you don't have control, but you're responsible for the output. The native response is to frantically try to get that control back. But when you don't have controls that govern for you, then you end up doing things that don't work, and everybody feels, stepped on and hovered over. And in the end, you still don't get the results you want. Instead, you get all the negative consequences, all the culture debt, in the end of the day, all the poor performance, all of the mass exodus in terms of employment churn. It's a backfire. You end up getting all the negative consequences of the very thing you were trying to solve. So high level, that's my opinion about sort of how leaders end up falling prey to this trap of micromanagement.
Yeah. And we see it a lot with the business owner who started the business, and then when they engage new employees, new team, they fall into that trap. Because their head is on the block. they are ultimately responsible for the performance of their business. And I guess they feel that unless they've got very tight control over what's going on, they're not in control.
You're right. I would agree with that. And also, you mentioned owners, founders, and everything flows from the top. So if a founder, CEO, C-suite fall into the trap of micromanagement because of lack of governance, then all of their senior management and middle management will follow suit, because that's how it works. That's how organizations work: profit, nonprofit. And so it's a tough thing. Mm-hmm. It's actually why Clarity Ops exists, because in principle and fundamentally, I think that organizational infrastructure is the missing gold in a business.
So when you say organizational infrastructure, let's just clarify what we mean by that.
Yeah, sure. It's at the macro level, it is just a set of or sets of bespoke guidelines and instructions that govern what people believe, how they do things, when those things should be done, how long it should take them, and ultimately define what the expected outcome is. At a high level, that is what organizational infrastructure is. It's the rebar in the foundation of the skyscraper that keeps it standing straight and sturdy.
Yeah, and look, do you find, or in your experience, is that actually defined in most businesses, or
No.
is it just evolved, not defined?
No, it's. I mean, I'm thankful, but it's why Clarity Ops is so successful, because the demand is so high.
Yeah.
But there is a narrative of education that needs to get out there, but there's also sort of a big lie where organizations have just believed that operating in chaos is that's just how it goes. You're just supposed to be stressed out, low happiness, have high employment churn, always be struggling with these things. But the stats are against them. 9 out of 10 businesses fail.
Yeah,
let's call a spade a spade.
So we're talking about this need for, I guess, micromanage, or sorry, not a need for, but an existence of micromanaging, because we don't have control, we don't have a good structure.
Yeah.
But one of the arguments I hear from a lot of business owners, a lot of managers, is that is a form of accountability. Now, I've got a feeling you're not going to agree with that. Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't agree with it. I think they probably fell prey to the lie that there's only one play.
Yeah. And look, and just for clarity here, I fully agree with Garrett. It's not what we're on about here. So just what can you sort of explain for us the difference between accountability and micromanagement, and why we perhaps get that wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll give it my best shot. Well, I think that true accountability, where it will actually work in a healthy way, requires a yin and a yang. It requires two parties to have a certain set of criteria in place that causes them to work together in health. And so, for example, the manager who's responsible for the output of people must be clear on three things: what success looks like for each teammate, how that success is being objectively measured, and then they also have the professional capability to measure it. So part of the yin, that the manager must have those three things in place, perhaps a few others. The person who's responsible for the output, for delivering the success metric, the thing they're supposed to do, right? They must have been given the opportunity and the proof that they know what success looks like, that they understand clearly the activities that are required to perform that success and deliver it. And there must be clear evidence that they were proficiently trained to do it. So when you have these components on both sides, then suddenly it's no longer about holding a person accountable per se. It's about letting the processes that everybody set up, agreed to, and understands how they work govern for you. And so now a manager isn't going to, well, I would contend a healthy manager isn't going to an employee and saying, you didn't do this, you did. What they'll say is, hey, let's look at the performance. Let's look at what the output needed to be. And now the employee's going, okay, I've been trained. I know exactly what is needed. I know how long it's supposed to take. I know what the output is. It's objective. So it's all about what broke down in the process. And now everybody gets to put their attention on the process and not get into putting all the pressure and spotlight on one person. And I think what's really, really healthy about that is now we've moved away from he said, she said, and we've moved into objectively defined terms. And Paul, I'm telling you, this is where the magic happens in a business. When you can start operating like that, you start seeing really great things happen culturally and operationally.
Yeah, that's great. So I think what I'm hearing is the key here is you've got to have something that is objective, that is structured, that takes away that subjective, as you say, the he says, she says, but it's very clear, very clear. So I guess, to steal a phrase, we have clarity about what is expected, what we're doing, and what the outcomes we're expecting to achieve are going to be.
That's right. And I think I just, for the sake of the conversation, I'd love to put a fine point on clear.
Yep, sure.
At Clarity Ops, we use a phrase called the management expectations gap. And what managers, and I'm chief sinner here, are notorious for doing is communicating directions audibly. And in their head, they are very clear about what came out of them. But really, they're full of confusion. And the recipient, the person that's going to go take those instructions is never given permission to say, I didn't understand what you said, or I'm not clear. And then they leave with only a portion of those instructions, but then they're going to be held accountable for what was in the manager's head and what he said.
Yeah.
So, right. So anyways, the definition of clear is defined and documented and signed off.
Yep. Yeah. And I love the way that you've described that, because we often hear the manager, business owner has this idea, this set of instructions, and the team member has a completely different one. It's like sometimes you think you've engaged a painter to paint the Mona Lisa for you, and they're thinking, oh, you just want your door painted. That they've met their outcome, but you haven't got your expectation met because you haven't explained it clearly. And it's interesting that so on some of our recent podcasts, and it's interesting that we've talked about employees and AI and everything, but it's about giving clear, concise instructions that can be measured, or the outcomes can be measured against those instructions.
100%. 100%. And probably not enough time. Maybe we should write a book about it. I think that's how long it would take. But like the health benefits to the business and to the people as a result of running these plays is unbelievable. It's like unbelievable,
Yeah. Yeah, and that conflict is something that really erodes the way you enjoy the business, the stress levels you've got when you come to work, and you've got this confusion about what's expected and how you're being judged on your performance. It's very stressful, and
very stressful.
And in that situation, you can't work at your best.
You can't. And then think about it. Like all of us humans, we have to work for a living. And most businesses operate in chaos. So that means stress is high, happiness is low, to your point. So it affects performance, of course, and growth and profit. But then those fellow humans take all of that stress to get paid to stress out. And then they take it home and they take it into their personal lives.
Yep.
And so it just makes so much good sense for business owners and business leaders to go, maybe this old way of doing business actually was wrong. Maybe the new generation has a better path that is actually doable with an easy to follow framework. All we have to do is follow it. And I think that is a real powerful notion in this new era.
Yeah. So would it be fair to say that we have really got the idea of accountability within teams? We've got that wrong?
I would go on record and say my experience, being in the business domains is yes. I think, but I would say yes. I do think that.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Business Behind Your Business. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and valuable for your business journey. Before we go, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favourite platform. Share it with fellow business owners who could benefit, and send in your burning questions because we love hearing from you. Missed any of our previous episodes or looking for additional resources to help grow your business? Head over to our website at thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. There you'll find our full archive of past episodes, along with show notes, transcripts, and links to valuable resources mentioned in each episode. Your journey to business success continues at thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. Until next time, stay inspired, stay informed, and keep building the business of your dreams. I'm fully agreeing with you here, Garrett, because I see this a lot. Is we have, I guess, accountability based on, I guess, well, as you say, chaos or confusion about what is actually expected and what you're being accountable for. So you mentioned we need more clarity in terms of, defined and documented in terms of outcomes. Where do we start with that process? Where should we start?
Yeah. I think, my recommendation always, the best place to start is what we call planning for the people. And the very first step in that is getting ownership, specifically owners of the business or the C-suite together, and defining what they believe. Because if let's say you're a venture-backed company and you want to blitz scale, then accountability is going to be antithetical to your goals, right? Because you want to move fast and break things all the time, and you don't want processes. So, that's just a polarizing example of figuring out what do you believe, because what we believe is where we put our energy and time toward. So, define your values. Then, once you define your values, then you can start looking at all of the components that affect the people and their ability to actually execute. So you look at things like employee guidelines, even small things like, what is our vacation policy like? What happens if I need to take a mental day? Define these things out for the people, because this lowers stress. Get into things like leadership agreements, and those really begin to permeate accountability. When you get into project management planning, and leaders all agree cross-functionally, hey, when it comes to a project, we all agree we're going to articulate milestones. Those milestones will have tasks. Those tasks will have deadlines, and those tasks will be assigned to specific people. And we all agree to hold all of those accountable to what we document, right? Leadership agreements. So from there, and at Clarity Ops, we have, we have about 12 different plan for the people frameworks that set up the business at the foundation. Then from there, you get into building process around those things. And we just talked about process and how we would go about defining those and clarifying them and ultimately publishing them. And then the final step, once you plan the processes, then you measure the performance. So you build in mechanisms to objectively measure what it is you want for your output based on holding the teams accountable and the people accountable to the processes they've been trained to follow. And that's kind of the 50,000 foot overview of how I would attack it, how we would attack it at Clarity Ops.
I guess one of the things that people will say as a reason for why they don't go and do this is,
Yeah.
I don't have time to do it. But what? Yeah, I guess that. Well, the obvious thing is, well, hang on. There's if you continue the way you're going to have the same results,
Yeah.
but you need to make a change. But what sort of expectation on I guess from start to where you start to see some benefits would you see commonly? What sort of time frame?
Oh, your mileage will vary on time frame. And I say that it's sort of like if we had a health symptom in our body and we went to the doctor, it could just be a small little thing that'll take 2 weeks on one medication and it's done, right? And other things could take years to heal. So we do a thing called a business health assessment. And we go through and evaluate the entire business. And then from there, through a root cause analysis process, we identify, hey, here's what's going to cause you to break. And we typically go after the things that need immediate fixing. And some people engage for years. Some businesses engage for years, and some engage for a quarter because they need to fix a core component or a major gap. So it's all over the place. It's all over the place. I do appreciate your thought on we just don't have the time. And if you don't mind, I'd love to share my opinion about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's any, like, at the end of the day, this is what I do for a living, and I think it's right. But at the end of the day, every business has the right to choose what's right for them. So lots of businesses choose chaos and complexity and confusion and unhappiness over investing time to transform that into health. I was just listening to a great, I don't know if you listened to Guy Raz, How I Built This.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So great, right? So one of their newest podcasts is on the story of Banana Republic. And husband and wife team, really great story and classic. They're talking about how they began to really hockey stick in growth at year 5. And he said, we were so out of control that we could not continue. And it's just that we couldn't and wouldn't find the time to stop and get infrastructure in place so that we could grow the business the right way.
Mm.
And so sometimes we do it out of omission. It's not that we're conscious of not stopping. We're just in the rat race, and sometimes we do it purposely. I think Stripe actually is a great example of a company that they don't care. I think they're into blitz scaling. Obviously, they're crazy profitable, but it is the cost of chaos, And so to each his own. But I think when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And when a business leader or business leaders go, you know what, we don't want to live this way, and we don't want our people to live this way. We want change. That's when I think the health can begin to show up and transform.
Yeah, that's good. So look, Garrett, I just want to go back to a couple of things you've said. So when I asked you the loaded question about how much time it should take, I was really pleased with your answer, because no two businesses are the same.
Yeah.
And you might be in the same industry, but the way you run your business is going to be different to the guy next door. And also your leadership style, your business management style will be different. So
that's right.
To expect identical results from the same thing, you're setting yourself up to fail. But being, realistic and saying, well, it might take me 2 weeks, it might take me 2 months, or it might even take 2 years, depending on, what chaos is already there in my business. So being realistic about that change, because I think sometimes when we go and put in place a new process, or we try and fix a process, we set, an unrealistic expectation on ourselves, and then we get, more disappointed or stressed by the outcome or the lack of outcome.
Yes. That's a really great point. if I heard you right, you're talking about when you begin to pursue transformation.
Yes.
Just the pursuit of transformation becomes stressful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a real thing. We have a solution for that, by the way, and it is part of because I think going back to no time, but also not capable of building infrastructure. And so the way you deal with that is you reorganize and re-architect what people do in the org. So like you can solve that by not, what a lot of businesses do is they take a manager and they load them up with roles and responsibilities fit for 3 leaders.
Yep.
So anyways, that's one way to lower that stress when you begin to transform. Another thing is, if you're not going to do it yourself and you're going to hire somebody to help you, you can bring them on to in perpetuity, sort of help you build, kind of a done with you or even a done for you, rather than, take the strategy and go do it yourself. And that seems to be really helpful too, to lower that stress that comes with transforming. So you don't end up,
Yeah. And so that leads into my next comment here, which is, as a small business owner, you're good at what you do, but you shouldn't spend your time learning the skills that somebody else can share with you from their experience. So if you're going to go through this transformation process, you've got to a point where you can't do it with the skills you've got, because that's what's got you to where you're at.
That's right.
This is the time to actually get somebody involved to assist you, where they have that skill. That is their business. It's about helping you in the need that you have. So my advice here is, don't try and do it alone. Get help, and talk to Garrett specifically, because if you've enjoyed what you're hearing so far today, and I'm sure you have, there's a lot more behind the conversation we're having today about the systems, the processes, the methodology, and been working with businesses for 25 years. So you don't work in the same industry for 25 years without knowing what you're doing and having results. So my encouragement is to get help from outside your business, from somebody with the right experience to make that process, I guess, more efficient and effective, and don't create additional stress on top of the chaos you've already got.
Well put. Yeah. No, thank you, by the way. That's very, very kind, Paul. I appreciate those words.
That's right. So which then leads in, Garrett, how would somebody get started? How would they get in contact with you? And what would the process be like for somebody?
Yeah. So I can be found on LinkedIn, first name Garrett, last name Delph, DELPH, or they can go to clarityops.co. So in terms of, contacting, those are 2 great places. And then I always think a great place to start, I just don't think it, the place that we start is a conversation. And just a discovery call, typically just to kind of, set the table. It's 30 to 45 minutes, no cost. And we like to hear about what you're facing, what your challenges are, what your pain is, what you're looking for. And then if that turns into an engagement, like I mentioned earlier, the first place we start is the business health assessment. And we have a kind of a 6-stage process we go through, and to in the end be able to provide a core evaluation of the problems, the proposed solutions, and then our clients make the decision on how they want to engage from there.
Yeah. So I guess that first step, that initial process, the assessment, understanding what really, what is the issue and what can be done at that point, is a great place to start.
Oh, it's critical. And if you don't mind, I'd just like to say, it is all about finding the truth. It is all about finding the truth. And only when you find the truth can you truly transform.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And the truth for your business will be different to the truth to your neighbor's business as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Very well put.
Yeah. So, look, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I've also been checking out some of the material from Clarity Ops and the videos that you've got out there to help people get an idea of what you do. We're going to put links to those in the show notes. I encourage you to, when you're not driving the car, pull over and check out the links there. Prior to recording, Garrett and I were having a conversation about how our best ideas come when we're driving the car. So getting some clarity around that. But look, please go and check out the links. Check out what's involved. Find out more information. And I think really, as a business owner, we've got so much stress in our life, so much chaos. You owe it to yourself and your team, because they're involved in this as well, but to try and reduce that stress and create a better outcome, a better business outcome. And that flows into a better lifestyle. So please, look, we're grateful for Garrett coming on today and sharing his experience and explaining the difference between micromanagement and accountability. And it's been a great conversation. I've enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, me too, Paul. Thank you so much, by the way. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
That's great. Look, and please check out the resources that Garrett's mentioned. And it's all about helping you grow a great business and supporting the lifestyle and the reasons you went into business in the first place. And that's what we're here for. So thank you again, Garrett, and thank you, listeners. That's a wrap for this episode of The Business Behind Your Business. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and valuable for your business journey. Before we go, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Share it with fellow business owners who could benefit, and send in your burning questions, because we love hearing from you. Missed any of our previous episodes or looking for additional resources to help grow your business? Head over to our website at thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. There you'll find our full archive of past episodes, along with show notes, transcripts, and links to valuable resources mentioned in each episode. Your journey to business success continues at thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. Until next time, stay inspired, stay informed, and keep building the business of your dreams.